and welcome to the SBN Newscast with your hosts Scott and Kendra. Scott and I are delighted to be bringing you another newscast special with some exciting guests today. This week marks the kickoff of the 2021 Edinburgh Fringe, and here at SBN we're delighted to be supporting a unique and immersive climate-focused show which has travelled to Scotland all the way from the US. And the show has been brought here by US non-profit FOODTANK in partnership with the House of Jack dance studio in Leith and the World Food Programme USA. The show has been produced globally by renowned partners and creatives that you will recognise and is being performed on dates throughout August and entirely by a Scotland-based cast. But I'll let our guests later fill you in a little bit more on the show.
Yes, before we hear from our guests, we're going to run down some of the things that have been happening in these past 2 weeks. Russell Dalgleish is the author of this week's article in Daily Business, as he wrote about how supporting those who support Scotland at this year's Edinburgh Fringe can be very important. There was big news from Forth Valley at the start of the week as they launched the Forth Valley for Net Zero at the Falkirk Wheel, where they're going to be bringing business and communities together to drive the new green revolution and help tackle climate change. There was more climate conversations as Joseph Trodden put out a call for innovators who are having a meaningful impact on the climate change challenge. Check out the video below to see if you can get in touch with Joe and the team at C0. A familiar face was in the news as well. Matt Smith of Primal Adventures announced the launch of the Highlands Ultra Run, which has been dubbed as the most exclusive luxury ultra run experience on the planet, which is quite exciting. Yeah, there's more further details about that coming soon, especially if you want to get involved. More news was announced as well for events. The Scottish event show, Event IT, is back and in person, being hosted at the EICC on September 10th this year. There was more written news with Tom Thomas continuing his weekly updates from India, so be sure to check them out every Friday on the SBN website. The podcast series has continued as well. Fraser Allen interviewed Gopal Hariharan, the Australian fintech entrepreneur who chose Scotland. A self-confessed maths geek, Gopal was born to be a problem solver, and he's built a very successful career on understanding the full spectrum of money trails and fintech architecture. So you can catch the episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. On the topic of international growth, Anna White and the team at Scotland Shop announced that they'll be fulfilling a long-time dream of establishing a base in the USA. Anna wrote a great blog on why now is the time for the Scotland Shop to live their American dream. There's news from our new member as well, Christopher Lamotte. He's shared some of his expertise this week as he wrote a piece on how improving website conversion rates is a no-brainer and can be really simple. He's got a 10 tips list that you can read in full on the SBN website. Mass congratulations are in order as well to Ainsley Hamill as her brand new solo album, Not Just Shipland, went live on Spotify, Apple Music, and more. You can check the link below to see some of her self-penned songs, as well as collaborations she's got with the Czech Studio Orchestra, BBC producer Malcolm Lindsay, and much more. That's it for news. There's some events to keep an eye out from. Andrew Morrison's LinkedIn Live series continues this morning as he sits down for his 90th interview. Literally, this will be Andrew's first in-person LinkedIn interview, so make sure you catch the replay on Andrew's LinkedIn as it went live this morning as he chats to Essence of Harris founder Jamie McGowan. We're, of course, back live as well in September. We're hosting our first in-person SBN gathering in London as we bring members together for some informal drinks receptions as well as networking. You can come along and join us to meet some familiar faces, some new faces, and hear from our keynote speaker, Liz Barclay, the newly appointed Small Business Commissioner. Dave Stewart, who you might recognise from the show a few weeks ago, announced a journey by bike and boat from September 20th to 22nd. Check out the link below to see how you can join the hotel hopping journey through some amazing thinking spaces in Scotland. It is perfect for business leaders looking to reset or refresh. And speaking of business leaders, Celebrate are hosting a virtual global conference about selling in a post-pandemic world. Join the half-day conference on August 18th if you're looking to retool yourself for international growth opportunities. Now, I started this rundown by talking about Russell's piece on the Edinburgh Fringe, and it's only fair we end on the Edinburgh Fringe. As you might have guessed, we've got a slightly different episode this week.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting show because Scott and I have reunited to go and meet our special guests.
As we said, we've got a bit of a different episode this week.
Yes, we're here at We Came to Dance.
We could not possibly rip from the earth, steal from the sea, Ashley Jack, and I'm director of House of Jack Dance Studios.
Bernard Pollack. I'm a co-founder of the non-for-profit FOODTANK based in the United States.
I'm Becky Enoch. I'm the studio producer of House of Jack.
So to go backwards, we found that there was a deep desire in the performing arts community to be involved in issues like the climate crisis, sustainability, food security, and so we also felt that their contribution was necessary to bring in young and new voices into these movements. And so it all started by putting together an immersive dance experience in New York with Broadway performers from 5 different shows. And it was a fundraiser for Feeding America at the time. And what we noticed is so many times we go and see theater and experience, we sit in a chair, and when we tried an interactive dance, we could feel that people really loved participating in what they were seeing, and the visceral connection of actually doing the activity versus consuming the activity, and how much more impactful it is. And so then what happened was it was clear to us that the show needed a narrative, and that we could story tell through this medium. And the Fringe Festival was kind of perfect because, one, it's audiences from all over the world who love theater and are open to experimental theater. And also, the COP26, the UN Climate Change Conference, is in Scotland this year. And so when we combined everything, plus thought about the fact that after a year and a half of not being able to go outside, that people really wanted to be together. And this idea of being a collective of dancing and singing felt like the right moment. And so we think We Come to Dance has really come at the perfect time. And what we didn't know that happened serendipitously was when we were looking for choreographer, director, cast, we just found the perfect partner in House of Jack. And like FOODTANK, they're a non-for-profit whose mission is to make dance accessible to all, just like we're trying to make sustainable food accessible to all. And for us, it just felt like a natural, immediate, perfect fit. So that's how this came to be.
Oh, it was amazing. I'd heard somebody had sent me a description of the job before, but then I'd received an email from Bernard already, and obviously with my business partner already being an exoplanet scientist, it was like, this is crazy, dance and this put together. So we had a Zoom meeting, and I introduced Becky right away, and then we just hit it off on the first one and exchanged some ideas and what we could do. And again, for me, I mean, dancing movement has changed my life. Literally, that's how I make my living, and I think it's really important, and it can really change people's life as well. And the power of performance and the power of theatre is something that you can remember for the rest of your life. Like if it's a particular show that you've been to, or it's a particular show that you've done, you remember that feeling and you remember it. So with it coming here and with it being about the climate crisis, it seemed like a great opportunity to use movement and to get an important message across. So hopefully we can do quite a lot of things combined into one.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was absolutely amazing. You just never expect to get the opportunity to use exoplanet scientists, which is so niche, combined with a new career in the dance world. The chances of something coming along that combined the two were just incredible. So when this came along, we were so excited. We had that first Zoom meeting, and just like Ashley said, we just got on really well. I think as well, because we're a non-profit, House of Jack, getting the opportunity to do a show with another non-profit and spread this really important message, it's just another way of us trying to give back to the community as a non-profit as well.
And make dance accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
One thing we're really excited about is 2 United Nations organizations have partnered on the show. So the UN World Food Program, USA, and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, which is a UN agency. And because the COP is obviously coordinated by the UN, that is really a powerful statement, because we don't think the UN's ever particularly been involved in a Fringe show before. So that's something quite special to us. Yeah. On the creative side, you know, the music, I think, is what really makes this show magical. And one of the artists that has done a lot of the music is named Rocky Dewuni. Rocky is a Grammy-nominated Ghanaian Afrobeat star, but he's also the United Nations Environment Program Goodwill Ambassador. And so the synergy was just perfect. And, you know, the other kind of creatives, Douglas Romanow, who is a singer-songwriter based out of Toronto, has worked with Justin Bieber and Tiga and many other kind of internationally known artists. And it's been such a kind of a beautiful thing to have all of these folks want to be involved in a show like this. And one of the things I think people find very cool is the language of this planet is called Hainese, and it was developed by David Peterson, who's one of the most well-known linguists in the world, and he invented Valerian and Dothraki for HBO's Game of Thrones, and has done a lot of the Marvel movies. And it's a fully functioning language. So as people really dive into the world and fall in love with the characters and the story, I hope one day I'll walk into a cafe and hear people chattering about it in Hainese. That's, for me, a sign of the show successful. The characters are from this exoplanet based on TRAPPIST-1D, and it's been also a collaboration with NASA, who have kind of advised us along the way on the story and the script based on known science. It's our closest Goldilocks planet, and so they are, you know, 100 years ahead of us in all the bad ways, meaning they over-industrialized like we're doing, and they went through a massive climate calamity. And now it's the first generation coming out of that crisis. And you have 3 different cultures represented in the show that are talking about the sustainable models that they're building in place of the kind of over-industrialization that was. And this idea of, you know, trying to take the example of another planet going through ahead of us, going through all the things that we're headed towards, and maybe on Earth we can not do the bad part and skip right to the sustainable societal parts, and use it as a giant warning, but also as a very hopeful story about how we still have time, albeit not a lot, to really make that change happen.
So yeah, the costume designer and set designer Rosamund McCormack, and she is very focused on sustainability in all of her work, and that was why she was quite drawn to this project. So all the costumes and the fabrics used in the set design, they are all recycled, upcycled, and repurposed to use on this show now. So that it's very much a focus on sustainability and no wastage.
Yes, there is. And I think even with the audience as well, like, we thought that people would be a bit more sceptical, but they're booking fast. People just want to get together, and it's just such a great time. I think we're pulling in a lot of people who maybe wouldn't have even want to experience to dance in a theatre, but now that it's like, I've been locked in for so long, let me out. So now they're all coming and joining in, which is great.
And it is a very kind of joyful, uplifting show, although it has a serious message. The show itself is just getting involved and being joyful and hopeful, basically. So it's something nice for people to come out of lockdown and experience.
The easiest link I'll give is wecametodance.co. So wecametodance, all one word, .co, and you can book in. They're booking fast. I mean, so hurry. Like, what are you doing? Are you doing it right now? But yeah, no. We hope a lot of people get to experience it. And this idea of a Scotland-based cast, I think, is a really interesting model for the future of theatre. On one hand, you had the reason probably for the first reason was COVID, right? Because right now for at the time Americans had a 10-day quarantine, etc. But this idea of democratizing theater, allowing local creatives to take, let's say, a narrative, a story, music, and kind of reimagine it, and then also to cast the show with local creatives, I think is a really interesting way to produce theater, and hopefully a model that will, inspire others. And it's also much more sustainable, less carbon footprint, and why bring people from New York when there's so many talented people in Scotland? And this show proves that that gamble was correct.
Thanks again to We Came to Dance for bringing the production to Scotland. We had a lot of fun and valued the message that you're sharing. And thanks for joining us on the SBN Newscast.
Yeah, and if the show looks like something that you'd want to join in on, then you can get your tickets on Eventbrite. We've got a special discount code for SBN members, which you can find on the website. But they're here all month, so we hope to see you there.